Welcome back, everyone, to my channel. And today we will be discussing a very interesting topic. We will talk about insurance. Spring market is almost here, and during last 2 weeks, I can see in my colleagues a lot of activity regarding buyers start their search of new house, and sellers start to think to put their houses on market. Some people start thinking about relocation. So the very interesting subject that we don't have to forget, it's insurance. And I have my guest today, John Simeon with State Farm Insurance, who will be glad to go from A to Z, maybe not all the details, but give us basic understanding about insurance. Hi, John. Thank you for joining us today.
Lana, thank you for having me. Out of all the insurance agents you could have asked to be on your show, I'm honored to be the one you chose.
Fantastic, and I'm so happy that we have another conversation regarding all our clients' needs. John, what do you do with State Farm Insurance, and how long you helping your clients?
Sure. So I refer to myself as a risk and protection professional. A lot of the times I'm a translator. I try to keep things simple, but basically I'm helping people protect their assets, when the unexpected happens. And I've been doing this. I've been with State Farm for 15 years. I've been in my agency for 10 years.
Oh, it's a great information. Insurance is always something to me that I would never try to explain to my clients. I would rather refer them to professionals like you. So John, can you share with us some basic information? Because buyers who buy a house or people who move into Minnesota, they are slightly surprised of the cost of insurance. So can you give us basic understanding about costs and why it's a little bit high than people expect?
Sure. I would say that people just need to remember that every state is going to have different ratings, and every state is going to have a different experience in terms of what is the cost to insure. And when I say experience, I just mean claim activity. When someone moves into Minnesota, I think one of the most important things that they can do is make sure that they're working with someone that they know, like, and trust. If they don't know someone, then find someone. You're a great resource for that, to be able to refer. And a lot of times people are already with an insurance company or with an insurance agency in the state they live. So a lot of times, you want to just reach out and find out, okay, I'm moving to St. Louis Park, Minnesota. Who should I talk to? And usually the company or the agency you're with can connect you to that person.
Okay, it's a great answer. Let's say very often I'm working with the buyers, and if we're in the house, and this is the first house for them, and let's say house costs around like $400,000, and they asking me question like, how much is going to be insurance? What would you recommend to answer, if anything?
So if they want to understand how much their insurance is going to cost, then they obviously need to speak with an insurance agent. In that, I would, recommend that, you take the time to understand your policy and how you're protecting yourself. The biggest thing that all of us do, myself included, is we focus on price. But for the regular consumer that doesn't understand how insurance works, they place their focus on the one value that they do understand, which is price. And let's face it, you get what you pay for. So you got to talk to the right person who's going to peel back the onion and help you understand how your policy works, protects you, and what you're actually paying for.
And if we're talking about protection and different value, let's say we know that our Twin Cities areas and surrounds have a different houses regarding their age. It can be houses older, let's say close to 100, 120 years old, or it can be newer houses. And recently, what we learned that roof can be an issue. Would you share anything about the roof? How old should be the roof? When people can know that they can buy the house and they're safe and they will receive the insurance?
Lana, you just asked a big loaded question. Do you have like 2 hours? No, I'm just kidding. there's a lot to be considered for insurance in Minnesota when it comes to the roof and the exterior of the home. To keep it simple, I would say that number one, you definitely, as a buyer and even as a seller, be aware of what the age of the roof is. From an insurance perspective, this is a very hot topic in our industry, not specific to just my carrier, but all carriers. And what's happening is that insurance companies, because of the amount of claim activity that is being experienced over, let's say, the past 5-6 years, we're in a situation where they're figuring out, how do I stay marketable in the marketplace? How do I not offer a product that's competitive, but how do we keep this sustainable without raising cost to a degree that the consumer doesn't like? And so you want to focus on the age of the roof. You want to focus on looking at your policy. From an insurance perspective, know and understand the parameters of what the policy states it will do and what it will not do. I've always said, and most insurance agents would agree with me, it's not always what's included, it's what's excluded. So a couple simple tips and tricks is, are there age restrictions for eligibility on the home? Does the insurance company cause for ineligibility after a certain age? How does the insurance company underwrite the risk, meaning the roof, the exterior? And yeah, it goes back to the same thing. Don't just make decisions based on price.
Okay, great advice. You also mentioned about prior claims. So let's say if a current owner have some claims on the house, can it affect the cost of the future owner? I mean, the buyer?
No, your claim activity is going to follow you. And so you're going to want to make sure that, what I see situations where you have insurance consumers who have several claims in a period of time that they're accountable to those claims. And what ends up happening is that they are okay with their own insurance company, but they can't go to another company because it's not a favorable risk to insure for the other company at that point. So from a new home buyer's perspective or the seller's perspective, the home buyer doesn't need to be concerned about the previous claim activity that was on the risk, because it follows the person, follows the policy. And hey, you know what? In an ideal scenario, a new home buyer has a previous owner or the seller that just had a claim last year for that roof and had that roof replaced. Now that's a win-win situation for the buyer.
Okay, it's a very nice example. Thank you for sharing. So what would you say about inspection? That 99% we make an inspection with the buyers, and sometimes we can see red flags in this inspection. Let's say we can discover that it's a leak happened, or something is broken, or electrical does not work. Any recommendation about the inspection regarding future insurance? How you guys do you need to review this report, or it's basically it is what it is?
That's a great question, Lana. And from our perspective, we're not necessarily concerned with the inspection. I would say that that's more contingent on and important in your side of the home buy or sell process. For us,
we're going to negotiate.
Say it again.
We're going to negotiate it.
That's right. And obviously, if a home does not make it through inspection, now it's going to be a problem where it's not going to go any further with insurance. Okay. But I mean, make sure that those inspections are done, and make sure that the disclosures, I mean, this is a great thing for the sellers. I've seen this happen before. Let's say you have an insurance claim and you take the money and quote unquote run. You don't disclose correctly. I've had several customers come back and now have a legal issue because they improperly disclosed, and that's illegal. So make sure you follow through when you have a claim payout and get that risk back to the way that it was previously.
It's a great point about the disclosures. When I'm working with my clients who consider selling the house, I always recommend, highly recommend you over disclose all known facts about the house than under disclose, because buyers usually appreciate it and they have more information on the house and happy when they purchase in the house. But regarding new buyers or people who is at the beginning of the process, what would you recommend when those people need to contact the insurance agent?
Sure. So for a new home buyer, I mean, you want to take the time to understand your policy and your coverage. You want, don't, you know, I mean, get beyond price and start looking at the other factors of how your policy works. And I would definitely suggest doing that when you've put in an offer. If you're already an existing homeowner and you already have insurance and you're thinking about putting an offer on a home, then I would suggest talking to your insurance company or insurance agent somewhere before that process happens. I wouldn't suggest doing it afterward. You're going to need to get insurance anyway.
Okay, so your suggestion to review and contact insurance agent even before making an offer. This is the best
Correct.
solution.
And new home buyers, I mean, I say this same thing to every new home buyer. It's going to be worth the 30, 45 minutes that we spend going through detail by detail. And I guarantee by the end of our conversation, you're going to have a very clear understanding of how your home is protected, what you're paying for, and what your policy does or doesn't do. I mean, let's face it, your home is going to be probably one of your biggest assets in addition to your paycheck and your finances. So make sure that you understand what's going on with that policy and what you're buying.
All right. So what would you recommend the buyers who are trying to make a deal? You know, it's, some people want to find a cheaper house and they think because it's a better price, it's more affordable to them and they want to move forward. If we have any like milestones on the way, if people want to purchase house like this?
If someone's purchasing a new home and they're trying to save money, I mean, I get it. You're going to have cold feet. You're going to probably, get to a point where, oh my gosh, did I make the right decision? Am I doing the right thing? I think when you're looking at the home, I always put myself in the shoes of, if this were my home, what would I do? Or I'm a homeowner myself, and I'm not a handy guy at all. I mean, if I had my wife on this podcast, you'd love to hear what she had to say. But I don't like doing that. You just need to be able to, after you get through the warm fuzzies and the feel goods about looking at the home, I would say you got to step back and look at the efficiencies of the home. Look at the age of the big systems in your home. Ask the questions and be real about, okay, once we're 5 years down the road, what does this actually look like? Are we going to be dumping a ton of money into this and maybe we're not prepared to do that? What are we going to expect once all the excitement of a new home wears off? And then with insurance, it is what it is. From a simple perspective of what they're focusing on with you, Lana, is they're focusing on the market value, right?
Right.
When they come and sit down, right. And that could be up, that could be down, that's going to fluctuate. When they're with me, we've now shifted gears a little bit. We're looking at insurance value. So hammer and nail, brick and mortar, what does it cost to replace or repair that home in the event of a partial or total loss? And so it's going to be cost to risk, and the valuation of what that home is and your deductibles, as well as the endorsements that you choose or elect into, are going to drive premium. And so the only other thing I remind people, with a big difference in your value versus my value of market versus insurance, is going to be, with insurance, we don't have to insure the land. The home burns to the ground, they're paying for that parcel of land as well. And so we always look at that as well. You don't want to overinsure, you don't want to underinsure. So when I quote, I always put myself within, if this home were mine, what would I do? And just remember that, the land we don't have to insure, we can build on that again.
Okay. Good to know. And regarding to the buyers, if buyers move in, like upsizing, they purchase in a larger houses or luxury houses, if it's any difference between those insurance, because houses are different?
The policy type is going to be the most important thing, regardless of the company that you're with. And I would say that above and beyond that, we're still looking at valuation, whether it's a $250,000 home or a $1.75 million home. There may be additional amenities, and there may be, the bells and whistles that people want to consider, that's going to drive premium. But again, for the most important thing that everyone's focusing on, premium, I'm always looking at what's realistic here. So I wouldn't say there's necessarily anything special or different. Just make sure that you're aware of the endorsements and the things you can elect into, and also be aware of your choices with your deductible. It never ceases to amaze me that when I talk to new clients who are considering working with me, they don't even know what their deductible is. They don't know that there's an all-peril deductible, and then there's a wind and hail deductible, which is very common with pretty much all insurance companies. You got to know what those are. And if you don't, you're doing yourself a disservice come claim time.
Oh, absolutely. I never know about until my insurance agent explained it to me. So if it's any difference between insurance, again, if people purchasing condos or townhouses, because it's a completely different type of property versus a single family house. And we had very nice issues like during last couple of years because a policy of association is changed and people not easily taking property insurance.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, when it comes to townhomes and condos, that's another big hot topic that people want to understand and realize. And most people know this, but they don't have a clear perspective of it. You're a party to two policies. You're a party to the master policy and the association's coverage, and then you're a party to your own personal insurance. You need to make sure that those two policies align and collaborate with each other so that come claim time, there's no gaps. When it comes to the master policy and when the board of the association is making decisions for everyone, be active in your association, because the first thing that everyone does when they make a change to that policy or it renews, they get mad when your fees increase. Well, you have a voice, you have a say, you can go to those board meetings and participate. And then the next best thing is that if the board has members on it that don't understand insurance, get an insurance agent in there who can help them and understand. I always tell my customers, when your master policy renews, send me that certificate of renewal and that certificate of insurance so I can review it and we make sure that there's no gaps. That's probably the biggest and most hot topic with townhomes and condos, because master policies are continuously increasing deductibles to stay relevant in terms of keeping cost under control.
Oh, this is a great option, and I can see that you're going above and beyond helping your clients. So it's going to be my pleasure to refer my clients or give them an option to use State Farm insurance like their options. Let's talk about sellers right now. We understand about buyer side, but when sellers selling their houses, what they should know about insurance, or like when they should cancel their insurance policy, like right away when they come like under the contract, or they need to wait some time?
So when I'm working with existing customers that, let's say they're buying a new home, but they're selling their current home, we always do the happy dance when they can have their closing and both closings on the same day. Unfortunately, that doesn't usually happen most of the time. Most people are dealing with an overlap. And so you don't want to cancel the insurance that you're carrying on the home that you're selling until the date of closing. As soon as that closing happens that same day, I would cancel the insurance, because you're probably going to have insurance elsewhere. And you got to remember that the buyer is now insuring that property because they were handed the keys and it's now their property.
Can the new owner of the house, who is a buyer, continue with the same insurance company? I mean, if seller has insurance with a specific carrier, can the buyer just keep going with the same company, or they can find another insurance company?
It's a great question, but no, there's no connection between the two. And the reason for that is that, insurance isn't a one size fits all. Everybody, and it also doesn't follow the house or the home or the car or anything else, right? It's going to be specific to, I have my home, Lana has her home, Lana has her rating factors that determine, her coverage and her premium for where she lives, and vice versa for me. So there is no extension of coverage from someone else's insurance to your own. I mean, can you go with the same insurance company? Of course, but it's got to be a new scenario altogether.
Sounds good to me. And what would you recommend, if anything, to people, how they can lower their insurance costs?
Yep. Make sure that you're not overinsuring. Find out from your insurance company or your insurance agent how they're determining the valuation of your home. Be aware of your deductibles. You know, deductibles are something that I would say the majority of people want a good mid-level and a moderate deductible. But, you know, it's your choice. You're in the driver's seat. You're the one that insures your insurance. Or insures your home. If you're a low deductible person, that's fine. If you're a high deductible person, that is fine too.
Okay.
I always want to make sure for my customers that they're not actually paying for having a lower deductible because, and this is a good statistic to share, most homeowners are going to have a claim one time 11 years on average statistically. So when we're insuring you, we know you're not going to have a claim every year. But what is that one time out of pocket expense versus that 11-year span of time of premium? Be aware of your deductibles, do the numbers, and ask your insurance company or insurance agent to run that with you, because the numbers will tell the story. And then you can make an educated decision, which is what you want to do in keeping your costs under control, in addition to not overinsuring.
So from what I understand, even regarding the same property, customers can choose the type of insurance, and it can be more expensive or less expensive. This is their full decision, and based on deductibles as well.
Deductibles, but also I'm going to circle back to policy type. That's super important. And you know, you get what you pay for. We talked about that a little bit in the beginning here, but recognize and know what kind of policy that you have, because that could make all the difference. I mean, we're talking about the upfront cost of premium, but I have never heard anybody complain come claim time unless they found out when it's too late that they didn't have the right policy or the coverage that they thought they have. When things go wrong with insurance, it's for one of two reasons. Either the customer didn't take the time to understand what they're paying for, and why would you do that? You know what you're paying for with everything else that you buy, right? Or the insurance professional didn't take the time to explain the coverage, and if they're doing that, then in my opinion, they're subpar and they don't do their customer or themselves any good. So I always want to take the time with my customers so that they understand. And I get it, it's insurance. It's not the most exciting or sexy thing, but you want to understand what you're paying for.
So regarding that, you're spending lots of time with your customers. Do you have like one educational story that you can share, you know, and it's like, I don't know, this is your favorite one, or it's like everything starts not super fancy, but you finish with a happy end?
Oh, wow. There's a lot of shop talk and claim stories that I could share. But I mean, with this conversation of homeowners insurance, I think the most rewarding thing is, especially in this environment, when we're quoting new homeowners, they send their declaration pages to us. They want us to compare apples to oranges. And that's totally fine. I mean, I always love to say, you can block out the price. I don't care about that because I don't control it. I only control how I serve you and how I manage your policies. And I think it's pretty great, and it's an eye-opener to realize how much people really don't know about their insurance. And when we recognize, did you recognize and realize that you have an $18,000 wind and hail deductible? We just had this last week, and it's like, no, I had no idea. Well, you're pretty much self-insuring for the one thing that in Minnesota, we're the top state in the country when it comes to wind and hail loss. And so what's the probability of having an exterior or roof damage type of a claim? There you go. You're going to have that. So you're paying out $18,000, and what's the insurance company paying for? But you didn't know. To me, that's just not acceptable. You should know. And I mean, granted, no, you're not gonna know everything about your policy ins and the outs the way that I would, or be able to rattle it off the way that I do. But you need to be able to then have that resource of who you are going to talk to, and just remind yourself of review these things every now and then. Make sure you're aware of that. And if you don't, you know, like I said, you don't need to know everything about your policy necessarily, but know the main points of it and know who you're going to talk to when you need to make educated decisions.
Oh, absolutely. You know, it's like, doesn't matter how long I'm in business, I'm still calling my insurance agent I prefer to call even more often than I should, because this is so much different information that it's taken lots of time to figure it out on your own, and you don't want to make any mistakes. What will be one final tip that you can give, like buyers, I don't know, new homeowners, sellers, so anybody who is considering moving in the soon
Anybody
future?
that's considering moving, from an insurance perspective, I'm probably repeating myself, but take the time to understand how your policies work, how they protect you, and what you're paying for. Work with someone that you just know, like, and trust, and that you believe is working in your best interest. If they're just trying to sell you something, then that's not going to do you any good come claim time. And another thing that I think I haven't really touched on is simply claim activity. When it comes to making claims, yes, your insurance is there for when the unexpected happens, but your insurance, your homeowner's policy, is not a warranty policy or a maintenance policy. It's an insurance policy. And just make sure that you take the time to understand what it's doing.
Okay.
And you can't take claims back. So once you file a claim, make sure that you're making an educated decision on, does this make sense? Does it not? And one final thing I'd say for homeowners in general, it's notorious in Minnesota, the storm chasers and the door knockers that knock on your door. If they're knocking on your door, then just don't even answer the door. The reputable contractors that can help you and are going to be honest and are going to tell you one way or the other whether you should file a claim are going to be the contractors. They don't have to knock on doors. They have more than work. And this has been a hot topic in the news, and it's been something that I think has kind of burst the bubble a little bit with this notion that every time hail flies, we file a claim. You don't want to do that.
We live in Minnesota, right? We have in winters.
That's right. That's right.
No, it's a great tip. Actually, I did not know about that. So thank you for sharing. Let me ask you the last question. So people who will be watching us in the future or who watch us today, if they're curious or want to connect with you, how they can find you?
Yeah, I'm pretty easy to find, I would say. I'm always willing to be a second opinion, because I may be able to help, I may not, but I guarantee that I'm going to give you resourceful and knowledgeable information. And the best way to do that is you can just look me up online, John Simeon State Farm. You can email me at john@S as in state, F as in farm, protects you. So SF protects you, all spelled out, .com, or 952-417-7222. You can call us or text me at that same number.
Great. Thank you for sharing. John, all this information today was very valuable, and hopefully it will simplify decision and life of our customers and clients and friends and even us. I appreciate everybody who was watching us today and will be watching us in the future. Have a fantastic day and see you next weekend.
Likewise. I appreciate you, Lana.